JJ the CPA here, hope you're doing well. Let's talk about the difference between the Economic Injury Disaster Grant and the EIDL Advance, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance. So the one thing to note here is
JJ the CPA is here.
You guessed it, there is no difference. They are the same thing. They get tossed around. But what I wanted to really drive home to you, if you would give me just one more minute, that I think is important, is that there seems to be, at least more on YouTube, a lot of videos or clickbait saying that the EIDL grant is back, or the EIDL Advance is back, or the EIDG is back, or the Economic Injury Disaster Grant is back. Of course, all those things are the same thing. What they are is that $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. And it is a false statement that it's back. What is in the news or in these videos is that the proposed legislation, which means nothing. The proposed legislation includes language to replenish the EIDL grant, the EIDL Advance, the EIDG, the Economic Disaster Grant. Let's be clear, those are all the exact same thing. They're not different programs. It's the same thing. It's just what it's called by one person and what's called by the other, but they all mean the exact same thing. But it's just being proposed, and if you aren't familiar, or it's been since maybe grade school, and I say that humorously, that until it becomes law, it means nothing. And there's been a lot of things proposed. The Republicans, who are the ones that have the latest bill, the HEALS Act, they're not even in agreement, as in 50-50 for, 50-50, basically against. It's a response to the HEROES Act that came out by the Democrats. But I just wanted to really make sure that when you're hearing the EIDL grant is back, or the $10,000 is back, or if you didn't get the if you didn't get the 10,000, now you can. So just know this, it's not back. And if it is back, and you hear from me that it's back, that means that it's in law. And then I will let you know, really, well, what does that mean? Meaning, if you already applied and only got 1,000, do you get 10? I'm telling you right now, I don't think that'll be the case. I don't think it'll be retroactive. I definitely don't think it's going to be that it's 10,000 per application again. And let's be clear that the Economic Injury Disaster Loan has been around a long time. It is for those that have typically been in a disaster related to a hurricane or a tornado or wildfires. So this is not a new program. The $10,000 advance, the grant, that is not a new program. So the thing to note is that when the SBA, they do have the ability to set guidelines, and in essence, they have come up with a program of the advance a long time ago, and the $10,000 that you can get while you're waiting is $1,000 per employee. And Congress has already looked at it several times, because it being a replenishment of the grant, the advance has happened, right? We knew all that when they went and did another amount of money into PPP, as well as the SBA grant/advance. But they did the Flexibility Act. They've looked at it, and my point is that through that, yes, there were those that challenged whether or not the SBA could limit it to 1,000 per employee up to 10,000. And the answer is yes. So even if the EIDL grant, the EIDL advance, okay, they're the same thing. Even if it does come back, okay, The thing to note is that I don't think what will come back is that it's up to 10 grand, as in you get 10 grand. Now, I want you to also be mindful that when you hear anything about the grant or the advance, there are other loans being made for people that are in disasters that are not the ones related to COVID. And they may be able to get the amount of the $10,000. So I want you to just be really mindful of when you're seeing some posts, if you're seeing some thumbnails or some descriptions saying that the EIDL grant is back, or the advance, or the $10,000 is back. It might also be that it's back and replenished for those that are having a disaster that's not related to COVID. It may be that it's getting replenished to cover those other kinds of disasters. The reason it's important is that I'm already getting emails and questions of, well, how do I go back and let the SBA know I didn't get the full 10,000? Or do I email them? Do I reapply? Do I let the SBA know that how many employees I have now because I didn't have as many later? Point is, the grant is gone. They are the same thing. The grant ran out 2 weeks ago. So from my perspective, I don't think you should count on it at all. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe, and then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me.